Is there a reason why in the Bible it talks about the right all the time? Is there a reason why in Genesis God put man in charge of the vineyard, and within the vineyard he put a tower? Is there a reason why Jacob saw God face to face and called it pineal? And then when he rested on the rock and closed his eyes, he saw a ladder. So in Genesis, there was a vineyard that mankind was in charge of that has a tower. Jacob saw God face to face, he called it pineal. Then when he closed his eyes, he saw a ladder. God was going up and down the ladder and there was a light. So these are just conversations that I think about and I want to have as I go through this process of diving into the Bible as a very spiritual book and applying it to practical sense today. But if you really dive into the Bible, there's so many different instances where they talk about casting your nets to the right. Moses went up and to the right. They found Jesus in the east, north, east, right. Think about that for just a moment. There's so many representations and so many hints of tapping in, tuning in, getting out of the carnal mind, which is the left hemisphere of the brain, rising up or heaving up into heaven, which is the higher consciousness, the higher mind. So often people who are religious attack people when we talk like this. But I want to have the conversation. Why do they keep talking about the right hemisphere of the brain? Or why do they keep talking about the right? Could it be a hint that if we get out of our carnal mind, we get out of judgment, we start loving God with all our heart, therefore love humanity as we love God, we treat others as we want to be treated, and we pull the log out of our eye before we pull the straw out of yours, would that allow you to access the right hemisphere of the brain, which is authenticity, love, and gratitude? Or is that too woo-woo? Is that too a spiritual Christian, whatever it is? But what is that? Why in the Bible do they mention so much the right hemisphere of the brain? And why did Jacob get to see God face to face, but we can't? And why did Jesus say that I can't pray for you? Think about that for just a moment. He didn't want to pray for us until we truly knew that we're made in the likeness and image. And once we could finally believe by tapping in, tuning in into that right hemisphere of the brain, that we're made in the likeness of image, then his prayer became powerful. Just like he walked up to the guy with the mat who was waiting for a fountain. And he says, "Do you want to be saved?" And the guy said, "Yes." And once he embodied that he wanted to be saved, he said, "Pick up your mat and walk." So I took it literal. I picked up my mat and walked, and I've been walking side by side with Christ, Yeshua, and my life is radically transformed.